The Pontianak Gym Tragedy. On Tuesday, June 18, 2024, it was just past 1 p.m. At a fitness center in Pontianak, West Kalimantan, Indonesia. A 22-year-old woman arrived with her boyfriend and younger sibling for a regular workout session. The gym occupied the third floor of a commercial building. Along the back wall stood a row of treadmills positioned directly in front of large open windows. After warming up, the woman stepped onto one of the machines and began her run. Witnesses said she kept a steady pace for about 30 minutes before slowing down to walk, catching her breath while the treadmill belt continued to move. Moments later, she reached for her towel to wipe the sweat from her face. As she lifted it, her balance shifted. The moving belt pulled her feet backward, and she stumbled. Behind her, barely 2 feet away, was an open window, its lower edge only 30 centimeters above the floor, and without any safety bars or glass barrier. She stumbled into the opening, tried to grab the frame, but her grip slipped. In an instant, she fell 3 stories to the ground below. Staff and bystanders rushed outside as emergency services were called. She was transported to Universitas Tanjung Pura Hospital with severe head injuries, zone deep lacerations, internal bleeding, and trauma to the skull. Despite doctors' efforts, she was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Police later inspected the gym and labeled the treadmill placement dangerous. They discovered warning stickers advising not to open the windows, but they were damaged and unreadable. The gym owner told authorities that the treadmills were positioned near the windows to provide a view, but in reality, users faced away from them. The facility was closed for 3 days following the accident, as investigators examined witnesses, reviewed permits, and looked into possible negligence. What began as an ordinary afternoon workout turned into a horrifying accident, a fatal fall caused by a moment's imbalance, unsafe design, and a window left open just a little too close to danger. Elite Edge, fatal lift. It was a cold Monday morning, December 26, 2016, at the Elite Edge Transformation Center in Ankeny, Iowa. Inside, 22-year-old Kyle Thompson, a student at Iowa State University, was ready for another heavy workout. Kyle wasn't new to lifting. He'd played football at East High School in Des Moines and had been benching for years. That day, he loaded 315 pounds onto the barbell, a weight he'd handled many times before. He lay back on the bench, gripped the bar, and took a deep breath. The metal trembled above his chest. Then in one terrifying instant, his grip slipped. The 315-pound barbell came crashing down directly onto his neck. The impact caused massive internal injuries, crushing his airway and arteries in seconds. Panic erupted around him. Trainers and gym-goers rushed to lift the bar off, calling emergency services. The Ankeny Fire Department arrived quickly, and Kyle was rushed to a hospital in Des Moines. But the damage was too severe. Despite all efforts, Kyle was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. His coach, Greg Schoon, couldn't believe it, saying, "That's weight I know he's handled before." He probably didn't have a second thought. The gym later confirmed that spotters were present, but even with help, some accidents happened too fast to stop. Kyle's death shook the Iowa fitness community, a tragic reminder that one split-second loss of control can turn a familiar lift into a fatal one. Final session at Korattur. Yogesh was a 41-year-old fitness trainer and bodybuilder from Chennai. He lived in Ambattur with his wife Vaishnavi and their 2-year-old daughter. Known for his discipline, he had won 9 bodybuilding titles, including Mr. Tamil Nadu 2022. After taking a brief break from competition, he had recently resumed full-intensity training, preparing for his next event. On the day before his death, Yogesh spent hours at the Korattur gym. He trained his clients first, then completed a demanding workout of his own. Heavy lifts, compound sets, non-stop repetition. By the end, he told his colleagues he felt unusually tired and decided to take a steam bath to relax. He entered the steam room alone. The air inside was thick with heat and moisture. About 30 minutes passed. When he didn't come out, coworkers grew uneasy. The door was still locked from the inside. They forced it open and found Yogesh unconscious on the floor. Emergency calls were made immediately. He was rushed to the government Kilpauk Medical College and Hospital in Chennai. Doctors pronounced him dead on arrival. Preliminary findings suggested cardiac arrest. Medical experts later mentioned dehydration and electrolyte imbalance, the result of intense exertion followed by exposure to extreme heat. Some speculated about overstrain or an undiagnosed heart condition, but nothing was confirmed. For a man who built his life around strength and endurance, his death was sudden and silent, a reminder that even the fittest bodies can fall to the smallest imbalance within. Chennai Dumbbell Tragedy. On May 29, 2018, S. Mohana Sundaram, a 15-year-old student, entered a local gym in Villivakkam, Chennai, ready to finish his evening workout. The small gym was filled with the sounds of clanking metal, weights being dropped, and the murmur of other gym-goers focused on their routines. He picked up a pair of dumbbells and lay down on a bench, carefully positioning himself. Around him, others lifted, chatted, and moved through the crowded space, unaware of the danger about to unfold. As Mohana Sundaram lifted one dumbbell, it slipped from his hands. Time seemed to stretch as the weight fell sharply toward his forehead. The impact was immediate and brutal. He was knocked backward off the bench, landing heavily on the floor. A deep wound opened across his head, blood spreading quickly, his eyes fluttering as shock took over. Every breath became shallow and uneven. Gym staff rushed to help, but the trauma was catastrophic. His small body could not recover from the sudden force, and consciousness faded rapidly. Even as paramedics arrived, the signs of life were already weakening. The injuries were fatal. In seconds, a simple routine exercise had turned deadly. What began as an ordinary evening at the gym ended in tragedy, leaving a young life cut short and a stark reminder of how quickly accidents can claim a life. The weight of rage. On February 13, 2025, a quiet evening at a fitness center in Hyderabad turned deadly. Inside the gym, 34-year-old trainer Sai Kishore was finishing his routine when a sudden argument broke out between him and a man he knew. The tension escalated quickly. Words turned into shouts, echoing through the nearly empty gym. In a moment of rage, the attacker grabbed a heavy dumbbell from the rack. Before anyone could react, he swung it with full force. The metal weight struck Kishore's head, the sound of impact cutting through the air. He stumbled, disoriented, then collapsed to the floor beside the equipment. Blood began to spread across the mat as the attacker hit him again, leaving him motionless. Gym members rushed over, shouting for help, but it was too late. The injuries were catastrophic. Paramedics arrived minutes later, only to find no signs of life. The blunt force trauma had been instant and fatal. Police later arrested the suspect, revealing that personal differences had led to the attack. But inside that gym, all that remained was silence. The smell of iron and sweat lingering in a place where a man had just lost his life. Lalitpur Gym Tragedy. It was the evening of January 31st, 2020. Hasta Bahadur Gribusha Magar and his wife Netra Kumari Pun, regular members of the Fit and Fine Gym in Lalitpur, Nepal, arrived for their usual workout. Hasta and Netra often ended their sessions in the sauna. After exercising, they entered the sauna room together. The heat built up, the air thick. Attached to the sauna was a small bathroom fitted with a gas water geyser, used to heat water for showers. Ventilation in the space was poor. When the geyser ran, carbon monoxide from incomplete combustion likely filled the enclosed area. The toxic gas is invisible, odorless, and impossible to detect until it's too late. Minutes passed. After stepping into the bathroom to shower, the couple inhaled the accumulating carbon monoxide. Combined with the sauna heat, their bodies were slowly deprived of oxygen. They lost consciousness. Gym staff noticed they had not come out for an unusually long time. When they checked, the two were found motionless inside. Emergency services were called immediately, rushed to Patan Hospital. Both were declared dead on arrival. Investigators concluded that carbon monoxide poisoning, exacerbated by poor ventilation, was the likely cause. No arrests were made, but the incident raised serious questions about safety standards in local gyms. A quiet evening routine had turned fatal. 2 lives ended in silence, inside a place built for health and renewal. Faulty treadmill death. On July 11, 2023, at around 7:15 a.m. on a humid Tuesday morning, at Gymplex Fitness Zone in Rohini Sector 15, Delhi, inside, members were going through their daily workouts. The usual morning crowd, weights clinking, treadmills humming. Among them was 24-year-old Saksham Pruth, a B.Tech graduate working for a firm in Gurugram. He lived with his family in Rohini Sector 19, just a short drive from the gym. After completing a heavy set of weightlifting, Saksham sat down to rest, lowering himself onto the floor between 2 treadmills. He leaned back slightly, his hand resting on the metal side bar of one of the machines. What he didn't know was that the treadmill was electrically energized, due to a hidden fault. Poor insulation, improper earthing, or water leakage from the recent rains. The metal frame was carrying live current. The moment Saksham's skin touched it, the electricity surged through his body. Witnesses recalled a sharp sound, and then his body stiffened, collapsing instantly. A fellow gym member named Keshav rushed forward to help, but the moment he touched Saksham's arm, he too felt a shock, recoiling in pain. Panic spread as others shouted for the main power switch to be turned off. When staff finally cut the electricity, Saksham lay motionless on the floor. He was rushed to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Hospital in Rohini, but doctors there declared him dead on arrival. The autopsy later confirmed electrocution as the cause of death. He had visible burn injuries on his legs and back, marks of where the current had passed through. Investigators examined the treadmill and found live current flowing through its metal frame, a clear sign of faulty wiring and lack of grounding. The gym owner, Anup Havdugal, was arrested, and a case was registered under Sections 287 and 304A of the Indian Penal Code for negligent conduct with machinery and causing death by negligence. Bikaner Barbell Tragedy. On February 20, 2025, 17-year-old powerlifting champion Yashtika Acharya visited a gym in Bikaner, Rajasthan, India. She was training with her coach at there. Yashtika had already lifted 270 kg before in practice and competitions. That evening, she attempted that same weight under supervision. Her coach stood behind her as she unracked the barbell. The bar settled on her shoulders. She lowered into the squat. As she began to rise, she lost her balance. The bar shifted. Suddenly, the 270 kg barbell slipped from her shoulders. It fell uncontrollably and landed directly on her neck. The impact fractured cervical bones and crushed vital structures. Witnesses in the gym rushed forward. They attempted to lift the barbell. Her coach tried CPR, but their efforts failed. Yashtika was declared dead upon arrival at the hospital. Local police began an investigation. They seized CCTV footage. A post-mortem confirmed death due to severe neck trauma. Authorities questioned whether gym safety protocols and spotter assignments were sufficient. The incident triggered a national debate in India about gym liability, athlete safety, and supervision standards. Yashtika's death became one of the most harrowing examples of gym accidents in recent memory. Energy spike tragedy. Katie Donnell was a 28-year-old teacher from Florida, dedicated to fitness and healthy living. On that August morning, she started with 3 cups of coffee. By mid-morning, she drank 2 energy drinks and took a pre-workout supplement before heading to the gym. At the gym, she began her usual routine: weightlifting, squats, and high-intensity cardio. Her friends noticed she seemed more jittery than usual, her heart racing, but she pushed through the workout. Around 11:15 a.m., she collapsed suddenly near the treadmills. Witnesses initially thought she might have fainted or suffered a stroke. Paramedics were called immediately. Upon arrival, they found Katie in cardiac arrest. She had been without oxygen for too long, causing severe brain damage. Emergency teams worked frantically for nearly 3 hours, but she never regained consciousness. She was placed in a medically induced coma. During that period, she experienced seizures, and her organs began to fail. 10 days later, life support was removed. No official report confirmed caffeine or supplements as the cause, but her family believes that the combination of multiple energy drinks, pre-workout, and coffee contributed to the fatal heart attack.